D23 Expo 2022 is just around the corner, and tonight we're going to talk all about all the things we think are coming. We've seen some clues, that and all of your latest parks news tonight on ParksCenter. Welcome to ParksCenter for August 28th, 2022. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you all so much for being with us tonight. As always, we appreciate it. If you have not already, please subscribe to WDWNT TV, and please hit the thumbs up on this video so it helps people to find us. We have a fine cast of folks put together tonight to talk to you about everything Disney parks, starting with Kamila.
Hello, everyone.
Desi.
Hi.
And of course, Coach.
Welcome, it's game time. Let's do this. Let's talk D23 and various other things.
Let's do it indeed. So the first thing we're going to talk about tonight is D23 Expo. It's just around the corner, September 9th through the 11th in Anaheim at the Convention Center. It is sold out if you were thinking about going to it. We will have people there at the Expo to cover everything. If you are not familiar with the Expo, it's a 3-day Disney Fan Fest where they just beat the heck out of you. But they share with you all kinds of great things. They tell you the new Pixar movies that are coming out and show you a sneak preview, and Marvel and Star Wars and everything. But on Sunday, they do a Parks and Resorts panel where I'm assuming Josh D'Amaro will be the one tapped to come out and give that presentation. Last time it was Mr. Bob Chapek came out and gave a big speech. So during the parks presentation, the last time they did D23, I don't know if you guys experienced the pandemic where y'all were, but we had it here. And so in 2019, that was the last D23. This is the first one since then. And man, they rolled out a bunch of stuff at that last one, and it was a lot of stuff that they haven't actually done yet. So it'll be interesting to see what things that they roll out for this one. But I made a little bit of a list here of the things that they ran through last time just to refresh us. So D23 2019, man, they were so excited to talk about the Epcot Reveal. The Imagineering Pavilion that they have on the floor was all, the Parks and Resorts was all about Epcot. Basically what we saw at Epcot Experience in Orlando at Epcot at the Odyssey, that's the stuff that they started with in D23 Expo, and then they moved a lot of that stuff there. So they announced the Epcot neighborhoods, where we learned that there were going to be neighborhoods instead of Future World and World Showcase. There was, like, you know, World Celebration and World Nature and World Discovery and World Showcase. Real quick, William K99 Super Chat, got to support my favorite show in WDWN TV. With the best set of panelists this week. You know what? You're not wrong.
Aww.
Best set this week. Absolutely. Thank you, William, so much.
Correct.
We really appreciate you, and thank you for the super chat. That means a lot. I think we had one from Jungle Cruiser earlier on. I don't see it right now, though. But
yeah, it was just he survived a harrowing experience earlier, so we're glad he's with us. And
absolutely,
thank you, Jungle Cruiser. We're glad you're doing okay.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you guys so much for being in the chat, for super chatting with us. We appreciate you as well, William. So they talked about the neighborhoods. They talked about this festival pavilion. Man, was it going to be sweet. Well, that's not going to happen anymore. Dreamer's Point with this new Walt statue, the Moana Journey of Water, the 4 new films. 4 new films. Wait, Rob, there were only 3 new films. That's right. They announced 4 because Wondrous China was supposed to be rolled out and has not been yet. So Awesome Planet, Canada Far and Wide, the Beauty and the Beast sing-along that everybody loves so much, and Wondrous China. They talked about Cosmic Rewind, Space 220, the Play Pavilion, Mary Poppins, Mary what? Harmonious was rolled out. We knew something was happening, but they rolled that out. They rolled out the Genie app, not Genie Plus, but the Genie app, and they were, hey, here's something very harmless that may not affect anybody in here down the road, and then there it went. So they talked about the Star Cruiser, the Avengers Campus at DCA because that wasn't open yet, and then they talked about the Marvel e-ticket attraction, which again didn't happen. Hotel New York, the Art of Marvel. They talked about putting, because this is Parks, Resorts, and Experiences, it also includes product, and they talked about the Target stores having sort of a Disney store inside. I don't know that I've seen that anywhere, so we can talk about that in a minute. But I do know that we've gone from hundreds of Disney stores to about 18, so that kind of stinks. Drawn to Life, they talked about the Cirque du Soleil show. Magic Happens, the new parade at Disneyland. If you want to stop by and see it, you can't. It's not there. It was for a minute, though. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway in Toontown. The Wish name was announced with the Rapunzel on the end. Lighthouse Point, the island that they were going to be making. And then in Hong Kong, Castle of Magical Dreams. Frozen. And then in Shanghai, Zootopia. And then, of course, the Reflections Hotel. Whew, that was a lot of stuff. Kamila, of all that stuff, there's a few things missing on there. I mean, did you remember all that stuff, or did they make you forget half of them?
No, I definitely remembered a lot of those things, and it was kind of a sad walk down memory lane because it's a reminder of how much we lost. Maybe, you know, how much we still have to gain. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a devastating list, really.
Yeah. You know, the first one that I feel like was the first victim was the Reflections Hotel. They were like, "Hey, we're making this great new hotel. We're gonna pave over River Country, so you can't sneak in anymore and see what used to be River Country. We're gonna pave over it. We're gonna just flatten the whole thing, and we're gonna start working on the land. Wait, we can't afford this anymore? Okay, let's put grass on it. We're out of here. We're fine." So, I mean, I don't know that we necessarily needed Reflections. Also, it was going to have a Tiana restaurant that wasn't Tiana's place. That was kind of weird. Coach, any of these things that stood out to you that you were excited about that didn't end up coming to fruition?
The Tron. Oh wait, no, they didn't announce that. No, I think the Zootopia thing, I think is a good kind of thing that I wish we would have seen. I know there was rumors of it for Animal Kingdom. I think this just demonstrated a lot of kind of hopes that didn't come true. So we're sort of trying to spin it in a way where we say, you know what, Man of Mystery, nice. I think it's one of those things where I'm cautiously optimistic, probably more than I ever have been for a D23 Expo. But I'm also kind of sort of like, hey, you got to come up big here. You know, there's a lot on the line here. So I don't know what program that Bob Chapek is going to be running on this, but he needs to have a little bit of charisma and be a little bit more. There are a couple of things I think that if they announce that people will highlight. You know, I think if they happen to mention something with Figment, I think everyone's head will explode. And I think it's something that they may kind of say, hey, we are actually going to do Figment 3.0. That's coming. Whether they do it or not, I think if they bring something up like that, I think people will be excited. I just think there are a couple areas they could hit where maybe people will sort of ignore the fact that they sort of missed on a lot of other things. So.
And just to clarify, Shanghai is getting Zootopia. That is under construction right now. So that is happening.
Right.
It's just there were a lot of these projects that we thought were going to be done already. That we thought a lot of this was just going to be finished and we were going to be seeing them by the time we went to the next D23, which was supposed to be in the fall of 2021. But again, that whole COVID thing. So there were a couple people in the chat. Michael Sullivan said, "Reflection is a mosquito's abatement." Yeah, there was a lot of problems with that kind of reservoir of leftover lake water that was sitting there for River Country. And then I think Care Bear said, didn't they move it to right next to the Poly? I think that's a different build. The original build and the concept art, we had the concept art on WDWNT.com, and so you can go, if you search it, you can go back and find some of that concept art of what that was going to look like. It's a very different look from what we're seeing here, but yeah, maybe, you know, the money might have switched. Like, we're not going to build it there, but we're going to build it over here. It's interesting what they've decided to do and what they've decided to announce so far. So, Desi, same question to you. Anything from that first announcement that you were a little bit shook by not existing?
Well, first I would like to, hey, 98 degrees late. What the heck? We're gonna have just one night, una noche, to give our predictions here. I think that they should have just left Reflections and not done anything with the Poly. When they got the money to do the stuff at the Poly, just bring back Reflections, because that's a piece of land that had nothing on it, isn't doing anything. They've already cleared it out. Why do you have to get rid of something beloved and build something that is not in theme with the Polynesian there. So I think that that's what they should have done with that. But I was also sad that the Mary Poppins thing never happened. I realized that they never really told us what that was.
Right.
But I mean, I love Mary Poppins.
Well,
Who doesn't
and
love Mary Poppins? I
and,
would have
and
liked to see something.
Care Bear was saying it was a joke. No, I get that it was a joke. No, I was just clarifying that was something that was, you know, that's. I think the poly. We're going to talk about that in a second. That's the thing. But yeah, all good. So when it comes, what?
Oh, I was gonna say really quickly, like, because I didn't think about it in terms of like what I really wanted to see come to fruition, and maybe we were going to get to this also, and I know we're also going to get to predictions, so I'll save that. But one of the things that's the most baffling to me is the Target announcement, just because they did succeed in closing a lot of the Disney stores. And for a lot of us who don't live in Florida, you know, maybe also don't live in or near California, like that was our way to go and kind of have access to the merch. And so when they first announced it, I could understand the cost savings of wanting to close those brick and mortars, you know, Disney stores. And then they were going to move it to Target, which is a place that so many of us, you know, frequent. So like that made sense. But I don't understand how that never really fully came into fruition. And you absolutely can see like more merch, especially in like the apparel department of like Disney Target, you know, crossover. But you don't actually, from what I've seen, see, you know, any real live examples of like a Disney store within a Target. And it just seems like that wouldn't have actually been that difficult to do, particularly through the pandemic while the parks were closed. So I don't really understand how that didn't come to fruition, particularly from this current group of executives that is so focused on just finding ways to get us to buy things.
Yeah, I was actually looking and I found it's a little messy, but I found this.
Right. And we haven't seen really anything close to that. At least I haven't. And I've been to many Targets, you know, in my time over the past few years. And I look every time because I was one of those probably few people who was like, you know what, I'm interested in that concept. I could understand why you would want to close Disney stores, why you would want to consolidate in this way. I go to Target anyway, so it probably is worse for me that I would have more exposure potentially, you know, to Disney merch. And I feel like we didn't get that, and I don't really understand. Like that should have been the easiest of what they had to do.
Yeah.
How did that fall apart?
I don't know, but at that panel, they did give us a Target $10 gift card. So, and I think it was like a collectible one, so I don't think I actually spent it. But
oh my God.
I think like the thing was too, like that one of them like had some absorbent amount, like 500, 5,000. I don't remember how it went, but they were making a big deal about this because, of course, Bob Chapek came from Parks and Resorts, so this was a big, product. He came from Parks and Resorts, but he was also in product, and he was the one that merged them together, so this was a big deal for him. As a person who just loved a visit to the Disney store, whether just on my own or taking my kids, I was very upset to see the Disney stores in general closed. I think there was something magical about going to them. Now the ones that are still open are pretty much just the outlets. And again, if you go to shopdisney.com and look for locations, I think there are 18 that are listed somewhere along there. And there, you know, you're right, Kamila. There's one in Florida. There's a couple in California, and that's about it. So you're right. Like this seems like it would have been an easy thing to do. Just, you know, reshuffle the shelves and you'd be good to go. So anyway, there was a lot of things like that they were mentioned in general that didn't come to fruition, and I'm sure that because of the pandemic, they had to kind of reevaluate how they were going to move forward. But the one that Desi was talking about, Mary Poppins, was the one that was the most baffling because they kind of went to like over the top to announce that they had a band, and they brought out Dick Van Dyke, and they talked about like this whole thing, and they had some concept art, but it was really cagey concept art because you couldn't really tell what was it supposed to be. Some people said it was going to be a spinner ride with umbrellas or maybe balloons, so we weren't sure which iteration it was going to be of Mary. We all love Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is iconic. Drink up. And when you go and look at what should have been Cherry Tree Lane expansion, it seemed like a just a slam dunk. And so I hope that project isn't dead. Somebody asked Bob Chapek on one of the earnings calls if that project was dead, and I think he said something very political, like no project is ever really dead. So, I hope it comes back, but we never really knew for sure what it was going to be, so that was kind of a mystery. So those are the things that were announced before. Since then, there are a lot of things that have been discussed that we keep hearing. We'll probably hear more at D23. We'll probably hear more about that. The Tomorrowland changes in Disneyland, I think, are the people on the West Coast. That's what they're really interested in hearing about, because the rumors we heard, first we heard that there was going to be a Buzz Lightyear renovation of Space Mountain, which I'm not sure about that, because we've also heard a story that maybe there's going to be a Space Mountain movie. So I don't know how that would work exactly, but that's one thing that we've heard. We've also heard the return of the People Mover, which would be great.
Do it.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody wants the People Mover to come back. And then the other thing we heard was that they would demolish the building that held the Carousel of Progress.
Hate it.
Their interventions. Yeah,
Don't
because
do it.
one of the things they said that they would do is demolish it and make seating. Well, you've got a building that has air conditioning that already exists that you could just throw some tables in. We know they know how to do that because they did it at Merchants of Venus. So you can just throw tables into a space and have this happen. I mean, it's a thing that can happen. So, I agree. Plus, I try to figure out, like, that building acts as a berm to kind of like block out things that are behind it. So I assume there would be some like issues with just pulling that down. And I don't know what they're going to do about that, but it does seem like it would be a bad idea to do that unless you were going to build some massive attraction, just paving paradise to put up a parking lot. The Counting Crows sang about it, Amy Grant sang about it. It's not a good thing, according to the song. So when you go in and you see these are the things that could happen to Tomorrowland, there could be other changes. It doesn't seem like Autopia would leave. It doesn't seem like the Nemo subs that were just renovated would leave. So there's really not much else to do except for if you were going to tweak or take out Star Tours, which seems like it would be a mistake.
No.
Exactly. Wreck-It Ralph is an attraction that they talked about for Tomorrowland in Florida. Disney hasn't officially said anything about it.
Disney didn't.
Right, exactly. Let's clear that up. So Disney didn't say anything, but we've seen some evidence that this is something that they would do, is create a Wreck-It Ralph attraction in what used to be Stitch's Great Escape, that used to be the extraterrestrial. So that would be kind of cool to do, but because they've reopened Merchant of Venus as a seating area, we thought that closing it was a sign they were moving forward on that project. We could hear about that. The Pixar Hotel. They've kind of leaked a little bit about that, but we don't really know a timeline on that one, I don't believe. The new Poly building. So the new Polynesian building, they announced that. That seems like something, Kamila, that they would have held for D23 Expo, no? Like, why do you think they did that?
I don't know. I mean, I will say, as much as I think some people really feel like the parks are at capacity, and unless we have a new gate, we can't have new hotels. There are multiple dates I've looked at recently where there is absolutely zero availability. And we're not talking, Christmas break timeline, like just normal dates in November or, January, February. So I feel like it could be, just letting people know, hey, more capacity is coming, particularly, in like the Magic Kingdom area resorts, which continue to be so popular despite what the prices look like. So, I think the reality is the demand is just so high that the sooner they can announce this stuff and get started, the sooner they can get people in it, and we need it.
Yeah, that's fair. So some other things that they've talked about since then, again, just going down my list here, hang on a second. They talked about DuckTales. Ooh. The DuckTales World Showcase Adventure replacing the World Showcase Adventure that was Agent P, that was replacing the Kim Possible World Showcase Adventure. This one seems like it should have been an easy retheme. I don't know why this one hasn't come out yet. And I know, let me go to my resident duck expert and figure out, what do you think the deal is here, dude?
I think it had to do with them just, I don't know, I'm guessing it had to do with the fact that they had implemented this earlier in the COVID era, they would have had issues in terms of like people congregating in areas and everything now. I don't know why it took so long to roll out. I know there was the rumor of the DuckTales sort of movie rollout that sort of didn't happen, what was going to happen, or there was going to be a re-theme, and it seemed like that was probably tied together. But I know from personal experience, we did the Pirates of the Caribbean thing. We were just in the parks last week, and it was awesome. If you've never done that little like whatever they call adventure thing over by the post, it's sometimes opened by pirates. Do that as an adult. It was exciting. Cannons explode. There's all kinds of cool stuff that happens. Hopefully it's that good, and it's not just, you get this button at the end, like the new Wilderness Explorers thing that they're doing now. So, but I mean, it's a chance to be. I mean, Epcot's a lot of walking to begin with, but anything that more stuff for people to do, I'm in favor of. So hopefully they pull the trigger on it, and anything that has Donald or any kind of ducks in it, I'm a fan of. So. Got my seal of approval.
I mean, it's something that I thought was brilliant when they did it with Kim Possible, because what they did was they took the countries that didn't have IP in them at all. None of them actually had IP in them at the time. And then little kids who may or may not have been into the idea of Epcot, it gave them something that like IP pops up in the middle of the culture. I mean, you're in the square in Germany, and all of a sudden the glockenspiel opens up, and there's characters. That was really cool, and I thought it was non-intrusive and a really neat way to do it. And it wasn't like Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom where you had to stand right in front of it and then queue up behind. You could be basically anywhere, and it kind of encouraged you to get out of the way. It's like, oh, hey, duck out of the way and hit this button, and then you'd see something happen. So I hope that comes back, because again, especially for families and little kids, or people who are little kids, to be able to go in and play around with that stuff would be really fun to do. They've talked about the festival center now, so we're not seeing the festival pavilion that we were going to see at Epcot, but they've talked about a festival center, which basically looks like they're going to put the building back up that they tore down. So that's going to be interesting. Dreamer's Point, the statue of Walt, I still haven't, Zach Ridley showed us a little bit of what that might be like, so it looks like that's still coming. Let me ask you this, Desi. Woody's Roundup Barbecue, what the heck? Do you think we'll hear finally about like when that thing's happening?
I hope so, because that is my kid's favorite movie, is Toy Story, and they, even as terrible as the concept art looks, would love it. I mean, their favorite ride is Alien Swirling Saucers, so you don't have to judge their taste. But I really hope that does, they give us some kind of timeline on that opening soon, because it would make my kids so happy.
As I'm getting through this list, we're going to get to predictions, but Jungle Cruiser, thank you so much for, and again, I hope you're okay, bud. For the $4.99 super chat, how about a Space 220 restaurant in Tomorrowland at Disneyland? Yes, yes, yes. Many reasons why. One is there's not enough seated dining, I don't believe, in Disneyland in general. Secondly, it is such a great experience. And third, you could shoehorn it in that building, Kamila, right? I mean, you could put it in that building and really, I mean, it's already round.
Yes. So I will say yes. I feel like I'm probably one of the few launch bay stands that exists out there. And so I just am frustrated and upset at the concept of just kind of taking away Launch Bay as an attraction and turning it into a seating, turning it into a restaurant on both coasts. I really want to see them do something special with this space. I think it's premium space, both in Hollywood Studios and at Disneyland. I think, if the Imagineers are really as great as they say they are, show us what you can do. And to me, this is the perfect example. Wow. These are some iconic areas. Like, show us what you can do. We know you can build something. We know you can take IP and, turn it into a roller coaster. We know you can use the new technology. What can you do with these buildings? And, I want to see more than turn it into a dessert party. Honestly, I want to see more than have it be a restaurant. I want you, particularly in Disneyland, where There's a lot of attractions, but we don't have like the Monsters Inc. Laugh Factory. We don't have, the Carousel of Progress. And we need something where people can go sit and be entertained. Characters are huge in Disneyland. I don't know, find something to do that's not a paid upcharge and that's not honestly dining. I really want to see them do something special with this space.
Imagineers
I love your
officially,
passion.
I was going to say Imagineers officially on blast right now.
I mean, truly.
No, that's great. I think in particular about the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Play It building that is now an Avengers gift shop at DCA. That's a huge amount of space you could have done something in. And then the Flynn's Arcade that was there during Electronica, that building, you could do something there. That was originally supposed to be, I think, a food court building. There's a lot of area in DCA especially, and when you've got like not the blessing of size, you really need to be more efficient about what you're doing. Mm-hmm. There were rumors a decade ago maybe, about an indoor Monsters Inc. door roller coaster, and they were talking about doing something like that and putting it in Florida. If they could revitalize that plan wherever it is and shove it into what is now that Innovations building or the Launch Bay building, that would be great. I agree with you. A lot of stuff, but thank you for bringing that up, because I want more attractions too. There's a lot of, but I also want seated dining in California. I think there needs to be more options. So just a couple other things. Wondrous China, we talked about a little bit earlier, still kind of like, I'm expecting they're going to tell us something about it. I don't know why that one's taking so long. The other three were done in January of 2020 after being announced in September of 2019. It feels like they should have been able to put that together. And then the Treehouse. The Treehouse in Disneyland, in Adventureland, is sitting there with tarps on it. I assume they're pulling a Universal. They know what they're going to do. They're doing some stuff behind the tarps, and they're going to announce it and then maybe open it quickly. That would be great. We've heard rumors of Encanto. Maybe that's a thing. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but it's sitting right there. And again, there's not a lot of extra space at Disneyland, so you've got that treehouse. Doesn't look like they're going to take it down. They need to step up and tell us, hopefully at the expo, what they're going to do. So, that said, that's kind of the basics, the reviewing of the things that happen and the reviewing of the things either that we've talked about since then or we expect. One last thing on that list, Fantasmic Returning, we were told in Florida will be announced here, and so that seems like a weird thing to announce. You're going to announce it, but and then also Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Yeah.
Maybe
can I? One thing that stands out to me of the things that Disney did actually accomplish, right? They said they were going to give us the Disney Wish. They did. They said they were going to give us a Galactic Star Cruiser. They did. And I do think those are, there's some nice upgrades to, the new ship. I think Galactic Star Cruiser is a really unique experience, one of a kind. But even those two things, they kind of had a clumsy rollout and initial release, right? There's areas of the Wish that clearly are not done, and that people have been commenting on. And then for the Galactic Star Cruiser, right, the basic, one of the hardest things about that is they have trouble getting you to the Star Cruiser and then getting you, to your resort or, to MTO, wherever you're trying to go. And so people wait in these long queues for a taxi or, an Uber, whatever, a Lyft. But the fact that they can't even figure out how to get people to and from that site, and this is a premium, hotel stay. So even the things that we did get just kind of were clumsily done in some ways.
Okay. All right. But how do you really feel, Kamila?
I know.
Salty Kamila tonight. Salty.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No. It's all good.
I have thoughts tonight. I
love it. I mean, no better place to share them than here, my friend. So thank you for being here with us. We appreciate it. So let's talk about the fact that there are some things that are still out there. They're hanging out there. Disneyland Magic Band Plus. Disneyland Magic Band Plus. We were told that Magic Band Plus was coming to both parks, both coasts, and we haven't really heard anything about Disneyland Magic Band. So I assume there will be some kind of announcement there. Also, parades. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What do you got? Come on.
I just was going to say, I think the problem with Disneyland Magic Band Plus, you're going to ask people to pay $35 to $50 or however much the Magic Band can cost. And at Disney World, you're getting these little bounty hunter games. You're getting, Speak with the Statue, whatever. They don't have anything at Disneyland. I mean, unless they're installing it. But what's the premium?
We know they're installing bounty hunters. We know they're doing.
Well, yeah, that I think, but that's not enough.
No, you're right.
In my mind.
Right. Well, I think in general, and maybe I'm wrong on this, you tell me, you would know better, is that I feel like people on the West Coast have wanted Magic Bands because especially now that the Magic Keys are only on your phone and you don't have a physical key. Mm-hmm. I mean, opening up your phone real quick to have it scanned in versus tapping something. I feel like that's the thing. I also know that when I was going from East Coast to West Coast and, a while ago, it's like, okay, you go to the hotel, you need your key to the world. So you have your key and then you have a separate ticket and then you also have to use your credit card to buy stuff. I can't be trusted with that anymore. I can't. I mean, just slap it on my wrist and let me go in and tap in. Those
are the old school Magic Band, things. Like what else are we getting at Disneyland? That's what I want to know.
Well, let's hope that there's other things coming. There's definitely opportunities abound. But let's talk about parades. You've got 2 parades sitting dormant in California. You've got Magic Happens, which we talked about earlier. Magic Happens was announced. It was released, and then what did it have, like 3 showings of it before COVID happened? I mean, it was not much.
Very short.
And so then you've got Paint the Night, which is a great nighttime show. Well, there's another nighttime show they have that's being sunset on September 1st. Mm-hmm. Does that mean that we're going to see Paint the Night out there?
I don't know. I think they're going to give us holiday. I think
maybe they spectate it.
Yeah. Desi, at Star Wars Celebration, the Imagineers kind of teased the idea that Star Tours was going to get more scenes. I don't know if you followed that or not, but do you feel like it's well past time for that to happen? Do you think they'll announce what's coming during this?
There is obviously not enough Baby Grogu in anything, so I need more Baby Grogu in my life. You can't tell me all of that merchandise is enough. I need some Grogu in Star Tours, please.
Okay, that would make sense. Coach, you were just at Disney World, right?
I was.
Did you stop by the former home of the Primeval Whirl and sit at one of those glorious picnic tables they've put out?
It was an improvement over the previous.
No,
ouch,
ouch.
No,
ouch.
It was.
Don't fight with Kamila tonight. She is ready.
Canceled.
She is ready.
Canceled.
I was sitting in a boat chair. Kamila, does that change anything?
No.
So
No.
no, it seemed like it was sort of waiting. That's what I'm actually hoping. I'm hoping they're going to announce something for that space, right? Animal Kingdom needs more rides. Hollywood Studios needs more rides. There needs to be an emphasis on that, right? It was very obvious, and it always is to anybody that goes. We know because we go a lot, but when we have families that go and you see people going that haven't gone in a long time, and they're just like, what is there to do? And every time we went to Hollywood Studios, it was like either Rise was down or Rock and Roller Coaster was down. And it's like if one of those rides is down, everything else just blows up because people have to go somewhere. And it was really interesting to see kind of the dynamic of families kind of saying, "Oh, we need more stuff to do." So yeah, I'm hoping that they utilize that space. I hope we get an announcement of Zootopia for our Animal Kingdom. I think that would be really cool. I think it's something that makes sense. I think it's something that park obviously is the lowest attended. It's a half-day park. If they're looking to drive attendance, if they're looking to deal with the crowds, that would be a smart option. I think that's just it makes sense, which unfortunately doesn't always mean stuff gets done that way, but that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. So. Do you think we should rename that park Avatar: The World of Animals?
No.
Okay.
I think we should. There's a new Avatar movie coming out, so it's only going to make it more popular.
Avatar: The Way of Money.
Doubtful.
No.
No. Okay. So Beverly, 4.99 super chat. Beverly, 0220. We need to discuss Josh D'Amaro's comments. Very disappointing, especially right before D23. You make a good point, because I feel like they would have pushed Josh D'Amaro out in front of, and like, no, you go talk to these people. No, you do it. They like you. But him now making this comment, and if you haven't seen it on our website, wdwnt.com, he said that the raising prices and discontinuation of services at Walt Disney World and Disneyland Resort is, quote, an inevitable result of progress. So they win.
That's called corporate speak.
Right.
That's called you have consultants.
So they win, we lose. That's what that means, right? Like, it's an inevitable result of progress. And we talked about a lot of the things that they've discontinued. I mean, they've discontinued the Magical Express. They've discontinued free Magic Bands with your resort stay in Florida. They've discontinued like the package pickup stuff that used to be so nice to be able to drop your packages off. Kamila, you want to say something, and I love it. Bring it.
I am going to go ahead and just give my predictions now, because they tie into exactly what we're talking about here, I think, nicely.
Okay.
Disney World in particular, not that Disneyland is necessarily better, but Disney World is an area in decay. Okay, there are buildings falling apart, the rides fall apart, some of the resorts are in terrible shape. I've had clients talk to me about ant infestations recently, bathrooms not working appropriately at Grand Californian. I mean, it's just a shocking number of things going on. We've had stores closed because of rodent infestations. There's talk that maybe the Little Mermaid attraction in Hollywood Studios, does it have a mold situation that's going on? I mean, there's so much. And when you combine that with everything we lost, right? I remember a time when I would go to Disney World, I would fly into MCO, right? From the West Coast. I would hop on the Magical Express, which I always loved. That was one of the most painful things that we lost. And you would get off the Magical Express at your resort, and there would be a group of cast members clapping to welcome you to that resort. And not just at deluxes. This happened at moderates and values too. Disney used to have ways to surprise and delight their guests, right? And that was what made me choose to go to Disney World out of, other places that I could go, because it was a certain level of service. We have lost all of that. And so when you add to that the fact that there's water coming out of the roof in, Epcot, in some of the buildings, right? The rides are broken down. When I was at Disneyland just recently, I rope dropped. I got up early to rope drop, which I almost never bother doing anymore. And all four of the e-ticket attractions that I would consider rope dropping were down, and they were down for like over the first 2 hours of the day. So I'm, hopping on little rides that I wasn't planning on. I don't actually want to see Disney announce a bunch of new attractions. Okay. I want to see them say, we need to spend some effort and time and money on our parks and our resorts and just fixing those, making them livable again. Because if you're going to do this thing, what Josh D'Amaro said, which is, let's figure out how to charge people more for less, that take things that used to be free and now say, you know what, they're not anymore. You can do that, right? And honestly, a lot of CEOs since 2019 have been doing exactly that, because they know they can. But supply and demand will only take you so far. If people are paying $700, $1,200 a night and to stay in what they think is a dump, they're going to tell their friends, and they're going to say, you know what, this wasn't worth it. And Disneyland and World are great, but I mean, they're not the only big attraction out there in the world. People can and will start doing other things if they're not careful. So there's a limit to how far they can go. And I just want to say, I do think we're getting dangerously close.
Well, I will say that Beverly definitely got their $4.99 super chat out of that comment. So thank you so much again for the super chat. We appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, we're, a lot of people have always said, well, you guys sound like you're, not Disney fans. We're bleeding Disney fans. Like, we are diehard Disney fans. And that's why it hurts so much when they do this. When I first started working with ParksCenter, I was just like, why is everybody so angry? And then, it's one of those things where you're just like, there are things like that when you have to pay more and you get less. You pay more, you get less. And then some people will go, hey, stop. And that's the problem, is they've got us tied to our hearts. I mean, there's something in Disney that we are tied to with our hearts, and it's hard to quit it. And so, Patrick said,
you got to be true to your heart.
We're gonna put you in timeout. So, but they, you know, Patrick said a couple weeks ago, he said, I'm too invested. I've got too much invested, and that's kind of true. I mean, we are very invested in Disney, and so it hurts when they say things like that, when they do things like that. I don't disagree with you, Kamaya. One of the things that I was told when I came into this and was like, we should have a 5th park. I think everybody looks at it like they're building Epic Universe across, you know, town in Orlando, and we should have a 5th park. And at the time, Epcot was really in jeopardy. Like, it was before they announced Guardians and before they announced all these other things like, you know, Ratatouille and all these others. It was getting to the point you were talking about with Disneyland. And so I think that with Epcot, they did that Project Genesis where they're like, you know, we're going to put our instead of opening up a 5th gate, let's clean up our house and let's do it right here. And I think that they've started to do that in Florida, but Disneyland, I have heard a lot of like, hey, these things are 65 years old, some of them. Like the People Mover, if they end up bringing the People Mover in and making that announcement, I got to imagine they're going to have to replace any track that they're going to be doing because of how long that track has been sitting there unattended. So I agree with you 100%, but again, that hurts me that we're going to have to continue to put more money into it and get less new attractions. Now, they are going to have to, you know, still dangle that carrot of new attractions to continue to get people to come back that aren't maniacs like we are, that go all the time anyway. You know, oh, there's a new cupcake, we'll be there tomorrow. But that's not everybody, right? So that's one of those things where,
oh, it's $25? That's fine.
Wow, that's $1 cheaper than last time. I'm in. And then, you know, and Desi's over here doing this with it, trying to, like, how can I get that in the light? So, I definitely think that I would love to hear them announce new things and also do maintenance. And I do commend them versus, say, Universal. Universal does a great job with maintenance in the Wizarding World. If you look at, like, Seuss Landing, you know, that kind of stuff, or, you know. So I think that Disney's always done a really good job of keeping things maintained. I'm not sure I've always seen that in Disneyland. Like Toontown was very faded, things like that. So I do think they do a good job of keeping up with stuff that I would like when they did the hub expansion. I was like, do you really need to spend the money on that? Why can't you give me a new roller coaster? Well, they did that hub expansion, and it's great. I love that it's there.
I love the hub.
Yeah, it's really good. So. Let's talk a little bit more about then because we're going over on this, and I feel like we could talk the whole show about this. About some I just want to throw out some other stuff that has been rumored that I've not heard anything about in a long time, and then I want to go around and get your predictions of what things you think that they're going to do, and we'll end. Kamila, come up with a couple more. We'll circle back.
I've got them.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
Okay. So the Mary Poppins we talked about, the Reflections Hotel we talked about, that's empty land. There could be something still coming there. The Main Street Theater, which was the D23 before that, they talked about a Main Street Theater which would have a parallel road down Main Street that would help to kind of alleviate, you know, some of the stress of Main Street and have a theater that they would maybe do a show in. Again, like Mary Poppins, it was very vague. What's going to be in it? You know, that kind of a thing. They talked about 2 new ships at one point, that there would be 7 ships in total. And now I haven't heard anything past. Stop it! I haven't heard anything past the Wish coming soon. But that's, you know, again, something. The Lighthouse Point, I don't know when that's going to be happening. That's the Castaway Cay, you know, sister island. The Disneyland Forward project that came out, where they were trying to basically target business to business to get people excited about the idea of expansion in Disneyland. But to your point, maybe they need to like clean up a little first before they expand that. And then, of course, the Mary Poppins thing. Coco overlay had been a good discussion for the, you know, and I know that's not a big win for Coach because he loves Donald and the Three Amigos, the Three Caballeros. So Aladdin in Morocco is another thing that has been a conversation, because now that Morocco has pieced out, they can do whatever they want to with that land, and so that's another thing that's there. And then, you know, the big one that I'm gonna, and then a Galaxy's Edge expansion. How about a seated restaurant there? How about, you know, we heard rumors of an additional store. I mean, that could be something else that could happen. A new Star Cruiser somewhere. Could be California, could be Tokyo, I don't know. And then The return of Happily Ever After. So I'm gonna start with
that was the one I was gonna say.
All right. Well, I was gonna say
mine.
you got time. You expand on that, and then tell me the rest of your predictions.
That was going to be my one big prediction, was that they were going to say that Happily Ever After was going to come back. I saw yeah, that's the new one, right? I saw that last night. I will say that it's growing on me. I did feel more watching it last night with Walt and Roy added, that it felt more like, okay, this is specifically for the 50th, because there was some quote in there about, like, that's why you come here. This is the most magical place on earth. And it was all about, it seemed like it was more about the history of the park itself. So I really think that Happily Ever After is coming back. Jordan Fisher wants it back. Everyone wants it back. I don't know anybody who thinks that this is a superior show, even with Walt and Roy added. And you're muted.
If one of the founding members of Four Town wants it to come true, it should come true.
Oh my gosh.
By the way, 98 Degrees to me is like Four Town to May.
Okay.
Love it.
Cool. All right, Coach, you're up.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm hoping for a Figment thing. Figment 3.0. I know it hasn't been mentioned. That's my kind of like reach. Happily Ever After is going to come back. Take it to the bank. Enchantment's terrible. If you've seen it, the fireworks are amazing. The music is god awful. Let's do covers of songs we own rights to with non-original artists. Great idea. Hopefully whoever had that idea got fired a long time ago. Only took them a year to add, the whole point of the fire. As long as I'm not salty about it. Doing my best Kamila impersonation right now. I think it really comes down to we want some growth. We want to see some tangible things, right? I don't want to see, we're getting the railroad back. Great. Tron's opening. Awesome. Again, we already know all this stuff. I want to see something new. I want to see something exciting. Give me actual hard dates. Give me something I can look forward to. Tell me that Tron's going to open in December. Tell me that the railroad's going to open right after. But also give me the Zootopia that we're looking for in Animal Kingdom. Don't just focus on Epcot. We know that they're expanding things or doing things. That's great. Give me a ride. Give me some kind of announcement of Hollywood Studios that can kind of deal with the crowds of people. To your point, Rob, we all want a fifth park, a fifth gate. As far as I'm concerned, it should be a Villains Park / Heroes Park. It would crush it. But I think for me, it comes down to let's handle our own backyard first before we worry about expanding. Epic Universe is going to put a ton of pressure on Disney. And if they don't have anything planned and it's not just an attraction, they're going to have problems because they are fully behind that. It is happening. And in 2025, when that thing opens up and then all of a sudden an announcement for Nintendo World is there, you got some serious problems. It doesn't become that place that people just spend a couple days at. Disney then becomes that park that you spend 2 days at and you spend 4 or 5 at Universal. Universal didn't have that, those hotels and things like that. Now they're starting to bring it up at all different price points. They're putting the pressure on, and I ultimately think is a good thing because it makes Disney have to make a decision and make a response. That supply-demand thing is going to die real soon. I saw somewhere they announced that the celebration is ending, March 31st of 23. I saw that somewhere. I don't know if that rumor is accurate or not, but I saw that. Now what? What are you going to do? So your move, you have a chance to make a splash. That's why I'm optimistic that Disney's smart enough to realize we've got to announce some legitimate things and not just pander, especially with Josh tomorrow coming out saying, hey, no, you're going to get less and you're going to pay more. Okay, Josh, your move, bud. Let's see what we got. So
not far away from the statement, let them eat cake, is it?
Not very.
So, or we're saving your waistline.
Or not eat cake because we're too fat. Yeah,
exactly. So Mr. Rob Bazemore is spending some of his Google money in our chat, dropping a super chat. $20. Thank you, Rob Bazemore. Do y'all think we will get an update on Disneyland Forward? I don't think so. And here's why I don't think so is that, again, that I feel like that is a marketing scam to try to get people on board on Disney's side, because they have tried so much expansion at Disneyland with that was it the West Gate first and then the East Gate and then that hotel, and they keep getting blocked by these businesses that are just feeding off of them, and they're like, don't do anything that would keep people from walking across the street to IHOP. Don't do anything that'll keep people from, from staying at the Ramada. That's the kind of things that they don't do. And I feel like our star of the night shaking her head real hard. So you tell me what you were thinking about it. No. I mean,
there's so much tension in Anaheim, and it goes back so many years. And I do think the pandemic, in a weird way, actually brought local businesses, local politicians, and Disney a little bit closer than they had been previously, because the stories of how much they hate each other are legend. And I'm talking like just shady things, Disney buying politicians, but other people buying other politicians and getting blocked. I mean, it's actually on its own an incredible story. And I think the Disneyland Forward was trying to capitalize on that perceived, hey, we all just went through something terrible. Aren't we closer now? Kumbaya. California Anaheim politics are fascinating, and maybe I'm the only person that pays attention, but Disney is a brutal company. I will say that. The only other thing I was going to say is, at Disneyland, I would love to see some focus on Tomorrowland. I don't know what that will look like, but I would love to see something. And I also just want to say, with Space Mountain, you can always do overlays. So you can have a Lightyear overlay, you can have a Hyperspace Mountain overlay, whatever. And so it might not be such a big deal if they just, announce something in that vein. But I will say, I hope we get some real investment in the parks. And outside of that, the other thing I was going to say is, I think with Disneyland in particular, there's such an homage to Walt's vision, right? The fact that we still have the Matterhorn, the fact that we still have Autopia, despite its current sponsored state. Like, there's just so much of, when you go back and you watch videos about what Disneyland was like when it first opened, at least at Disneyland, so much of it is still there. And I feel like there's a real effort to maintain it. The one thing I would like to see, if we talk about new attractions, which again, for me personally, I don't need. I would like to just see investment in what's there. But if we get something new, I actually would like it to be non-IP. We know that they can do this. We know that they can take, all of their intellectual property and apply it to a ride and the latest technology, and give us something great. I think a lot of the new rides we've got recently, Rise of the Resistance, Guardians of the Galaxy, are fantastic. But I want to see what Imagineers can come up with when they're really left to their own devices. I want to see if you all are really that good.
Wow.
I think they can do it. No, to be clear, I think they can do it. Yeah. So I want to see you do it.
If you can dream it. Okay. So anyway, here's my prediction here is, and again, it could be anything. But my prediction is that it's going to be a lot of announcements of timeframes and names and dates and so like Fantasmic, when it's coming back, probably patting themselves on the back for things that they've just done, like Ratatouille and Guardians and things like that they've done since the last one. The renovation of Snow White's Enchanted Wish and things like that. I think there will be a lot of, hey, we've done since the last time we got together, gang, we've done a lot of stuff. Here's what we've done. And while they have done a lot of stuff, it is probably half of what we thought they would do in twice as much time, because they were supposed to be another expo last year at this time. So I think it's going to be, again, a lot of naming, and they did that last year. It's like we knew there was going to be a daytime parade at Disneyland. They went, it's called Magic Happens, and it's called Harmonious, and it's called The Wish. So they've done that before. They will probably do a little bit of that again. I hope they shock us. I hope they shock us with something, Coach. I hope we get an Imagination, pavilion. Like, hey, we're starting with, Epcot. We've got all this other stuff coming. This is just scratching the surface. We've got lots more coming, including, we're going to do the Coco overlay in Mexico, or we're going to do an Aladdin thing. But Kamila, I agree with you. When's the last big non-IP that they did? I mean, and the fact that they are now taking their IPs, like we heard the announcement about Big Thunder. There's a rumor about Space Mountain. There's the project for Twilight Zone Tower, or the Tower of Terror, is still out there. They're taking these things that are really, Twilight Zone is sort of an IP connected, but I think Tower of Terror is like non-IP. But anyway, all of these stories that they've created, and they're making them into movies and TV shows. So why wouldn't you want to add more fuel to that and make more things like Mystic Manor, like Journey into Imagination, things that we don't know. So maybe there'll be more. I'm seeing in the chat somebody said Encanto Epcot. Maybe. I mean,
that would require building a Columbia Pavilion, and I don't think that's happening.
Right. Well, and that was the thing too, is at the last D23, we expected an announcement of a Brazil pavilion. We expected an announcement of possibly at one point an India pavilion that would include a Jungle Book attraction. Neither of those things came to fruition. So they've got extra pads. I mean, if you look at the original model, there were 21, I believe, 21 pads to build on. They took an extra one to build the meet and greet for Anna and Elsa. They took an extra one to build the Remy. So there are still some that are available because there are only 11 countries. So there are other things that they could do in World Showcase. I just don't think they necessarily feel like they need to. I think, back to Coach's point, there need to be more for kids and families in Animal Kingdom, and I think that there needs to be more in Hollywood studios for us to do. And so maybe do something amazing, like you said, Kamila, with Launch Bay, but that whole courtyard.
Launch Bay, please.
That whole courtyard needs something. Launch Bay.
Yeah.
Mermaid is closed. The 2 gift shops there are closed. The only thing back there really is like a halfway Launch Bay and the Disney Junior. Like, we need to see something more there. So I think, again, my prediction is that they will do a lot more as far as naming and time frames of things that are going to come back and open. I hope they say something about Play Pavilion. I really do, because I've been excited about Play Pavilion since I heard about it, very interactive, and then as soon as COVID came around, I went, that could be the worst thing that they've ever done, something where everybody puts their hands on stuff. But now, maybe it's time to do that, but they've curbed that area and put landscape up to make it look like that's a building in another place. Like, it almost doesn't look like they're any time ready to open that up. So but
Rob, would you agree if they announced Figment 3.0, that would highlight that would be the hype of the entire D23 Expo? Like, wouldn't everybody just lose their mind and said, even if they said we're gonna do it after we're done with Milan and all this other stuff?
I want to lose my mind after everything.
You know what?
Lose their mind though. That would be the highlight. That's all people would be talking about.
But Desi, I've done that before. Like, I've lost my mind when they were like, I'm like, no. Like, I remember like live like group texting people that I knew. Like when they would announce, like, they just said this. Oh, they just said this. Oh my gosh.
We need a Rob Cam, a live Rob Cam. Rob react.
I get so excited about that kind of stuff. Absolutely. But here's the thing, Coach, is I feel like as much as that room would love some Imagination Pavilion update, whether it's the Magic Eye Theater getting an update, at this point, even a patch on the roof would probably be exciting. We'll talk about that later. But as much as they would love that, I think if you step outside of our bubble, people don't care as much. And I could be wrong about that.
I mean, they sold a lot of merch and popcorn buckets.
Yes, they did. You're right. A 7-hour popcorn bucket line.
Just from that guy who used to sell a lot of merch, who's now running the company, you would think that he'd look at the numbers and go, maybe if we updated this, we could tie more merch to it, we could sell more.
Maybe he doesn't need to, because he's selling so much of it already, and he's already like the mascot for Epcot, so why would you also need to give him his own attraction? I mean, Mickey didn't have his own attraction until 2019, 2020. So, I mean,
true.
And he certainly seemed to be doing well with his merchandising. So, again, I would love, for y'all at home to give us more comments, afterwards about what things that you think that they will be announcing. I hope that they surprise us with some amazing things. Alex says Figment Land. Yep, let's do it. I'm in. I worked that attraction. I worked the original Imagination attraction, so I love that attraction. Cool. But again, looking at it through the lens of someone from outside the outside this group, maybe they're Kamila. I think that they just love IP. People just love IP.
I will say, I hate to say it, that's exactly it. Like I was just having a conversation with the family that's getting ready to book a massive package, and they were asking about Moana, they were asking about Frozen. It was all the things that their kids know, and is there a ride for this? Is there a ride for this? And I feel like outside of the Disney fandom, that's exactly it. And honestly, they're paying these prices so that their kids can go be with these characters that they know and love.
Star Wars, Guardians,
I
Marvel.
raised my kids right. My kids know and love Figment. When they saw the Figment statue today, they lost their minds. Oh my God, Figment, Figment, Figment. Part of the reason I'm late, not just because of 98 Degrees, but because my kids insisted we ride Figment one time before we come home. So part Nick Lachey, part Figment. You can blame it on both of them.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm excited to see what happens. This is always my favorite part, and the fact that it, they keep it until the end is kind of neat, because Sundays at cons are usually a little bit more like people are wrapping up. They've already had 2 full days. When D23 started, it was 4 days. One was for TV, one was for movies, one was for animation, and one was for parks and resorts. Now they combine a bunch of stuff, and having added Disney Plus, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of this one. I feel like, they've spilled a lot of the news of Marvel. They probably have a few things they haven't told us yet that they'll announce as far as the, that stuff goes. But stay tuned, because we'll cover everything, and we're excited. We're just as excited as you guys to see how much of this stuff comes up. But because we've heard so many rumors over the past 3 years, and so many things that were missed, that the 2019 D23 Expo that's been kind of swept under the rug, this is going to be like a crazy amount of content, I hope. And so I cannot wait to see
it. Can we all just agree, if we don't get a launch bay update, we just burn the place down? Okay. Okay.
No, that's
We're
fair.
just done at that point. We're done.
That's fair.
Rob, do you really think Chapek's going to get booed on stage with the Legends? Do you think that's going to happen?
I don't, not
right.
during the Legends. I don't know. That seems like a bad
I don't know.
time.
I honestly don't know, because he's going to show up. Obviously, he didn't show up because of transportation issues the first time, but I'm interested to see kind of if they're hoping that the Legends kind of shields him from that. But I mean, even when you go like to any of the sports commissioners when they do the draft, if they're not happy with them, it doesn't matter that they're drafting the best player and their team's excited. They will boo that commissioner before he makes that and announces that pick. So I wonder if it's going to have that kind of a feel to it. I'm curious. I'm interested to see. And not only that, is that all he does? Does he just come out for the Legends, or does he actually, depending on how that reaction goes, does he then, maybe do something else? I don't know. I'm interested to see. I think it'll be compelling content that we will bring to you from WWNT. So.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting, because he kind of has to be there for the opening, right? The Disney Legends, and it's the 35th anniversary. The Disney Legends is wrapped into the introduction of the entire expo. Like, they do the whole expo. They throw out some sizzle reels. I drink the Kool-Aid and cry openly about the sizzle reels, because it's like always, no, that, and they throw a lot of football in because they're taking credit because of ESPN. It's great. But I think doesn't he have a co-host? I was looking through to try to find it. I feel like there's somebody. Tamron Hall. So Tamron Hall is actually going to be hosting it. Which the very first year it was Tom Bergeron hosted it, and then it started moving into Bob Iger just doing it himself, because he's like, oh, Robin Roberts, I know her. Oh, Christina Aguilera, I know her. And so he would just introduce them. And, he had that ability and that stature, and he talked like he was talking from his heart as opposed to reading the teleprompter. He was definitely reading a teleprompter, but he just really, he was a very great speaker, and it was like, oh, yeah, we're excited. I don't know if he'll get booed, dude. I feel like he kind of has to, but also it's a fan event of, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. So again, stay tuned. But because of, I think, his probably apprehension about actually hosting this, Tamron Hall is doing the hosting. So he may just come out, give like a quick speech about welcome and then, you know, hand it over. We'll
Yeah,
see.
I mean, there will be an opportunity for him to get booed. It's just a question of will it happen. I'm anxious to see, to be honest with you, what's going to happen, and hopefully we get lots of really good announcements.
Yep. I thought you were going to say there will be blood, which I hope not. No. So we're very excited. Again, we are 2 weeks away from this to this day. So it'll be really exciting to be able to come back after that and talk about the things that we actually talked about here that we thought they might mention, and now the things that they think that we know that they'll do. We know Fantasmic announcement. We know they've got to say something about Tron. They've got to. I mean, they've been too long without it. It's testing. They've got to be able to tell us at least. Here's what I hate, though. I'm sorry. We're going to finish this and we're going to move on to ParksCenter. I mean, to the parks part. But when they're doing all this stuff with Tron, I'm thinking back to like when they announced Toy Story Land during that D23. We already knew it was coming. We didn't know when, and they went coming, and we're like, okay, let me have it. And they were like, summer 2018. It's like, okay, that's a large window, folks. You couldn't narrow that down just a little bit for us. So I feel yes, exactly. So I feel like they're going to go coming spring. This is my prediction. Tron coming spring 2023. That's my prediction. Not a date, but spring 2023.
February 1st. The day after the celebration ends. Book it now, folks.
We know they screwed up by not opening Space 220 on February of 2020. They screwed that up.
They should have.
Yeah. All right.
They should have done it on February 20th of 2020.
They should have. They should have. We're going to take a real quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk about some parks news that happened. So please stay with us. Give us a thumbs up. It helps people to find us, and we really appreciate you being here. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Welcome to News Today with Universal Parks News Today. I'm Tom Corliss. Here now the news.
Welcome to Deep in the Plus. Each week, join host Rob Whiteside as he and a panel of Disney superfans take a different movie or TV show from the Disney Plus catalog. They'll tell you its history, details, and give their review, so you'll know if it's worth your time. Current shows, classic movies, and everything in between. Watch Deep in the Plus live Wednesday nights at 9 Eastern for new episodes, or catch Deep in the Plus anytime on YouTube on WDWNT TV.
Welcome back to ParksCenter. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. Please give us a thumbs up as it helps people to find us. And if you haven't, please subscribe to WDWNT TV. We've got a lot of great programming here. We've got Deep in the Plus, where we talk about movies and TV shows that are on Disney Plus. We've got Disney Entertainment News today. We've got ParksCenter. Obviously, you're watching ParksCenter. Boxed In, and then, of course, News Tonight will be returning in a few. So thank you guys for being with us. And again, we are just so excited that we've been ditched by Desi once again. We're so humbled that she was able to show up for a hot minute. Now she's probably going off chasing, I don't know, Backstreet Boys maybe. I don't know what she's doing. She's up to something. So, maybe if we give enough likes, she'll come back. That's probably what it is. She's probably holding out on us. I want to talk about some stuff. So I called this section "Step Up," Kamila, because people in the parks. Since you're salty, I'm going to throw this to you. But please be salty about this. Please be salty about this. There were some kids climbing up on the Ratatouille topiary, but that wasn't enough. There was a dude surfing at Disney Springs in the fountain. Do we not have boundaries anymore?
Like in the last segment, I talked about the rides, going down, or e-ticket attractions opening, late. And what I didn't mention is the fact that sometimes those kinds of things happen due to, electrical, mechanical failures, whatever. But sometimes they have to stop those rides cold because someone stood up or someone reached outside, the ride. Guests behaving badly is really such a problem at Disney World. And, maybe it's to be expected. So many people from all around the world coming here, getting lost in the moment. But this can't happen. Like, to me, these are basic things. Don't get in the fountain at Disney Springs or anywhere, right? It's not your fountain and you don't know what's in that water. It's not clean. And it probably doesn't have chlorine like your pool might. And don't get in the topiary. Oh my gosh, all of the work that they do to upkeep those, and, and they look great. The Remy, topiary is so cute. All of them are so cute. A lot of work and effort goes into maintaining that. No, you cannot just go stand next to it to get your picture, and no, your child can't climb it. This should be obvious. What is happening out there? I really Disney has to do their part, but we have to do our part too as guests.
Yeah, absolutely. There are signs up that said, "Hey, don't go near the water. There's bad stuff in it." And they had to put those up because people didn't know. Don't go near the water.
They were drinking it.
Yeah.
Hello?
We need to. Yeah, there's some problems here. Maybe we should have a mandatory short educational film when you come into the park that says, by the way, here's the things that you don't do. You don't surf in the fountains. Oh, you don't? Oh, okay, let's not do that. You can't wear roller skates in the park. God, geez, I wish you had told me that. I mean, plus there's all the stuff that people try to bring in the parks. Oh, I can't bring a gun? What is this? Not America? It's just one of those things where every time we hear about another one of these, it's just like, really, surfing, dude? I mean, obviously, it wasn't like he didn't know that he shouldn't be doing that. He was just like, let me get my 15 minutes of fame.
Well, and he was literally, he had no clothes on, okay? I mean, he had shorts on and that was it. In what world are you just at Disney Springs in some board shorts and nothing else with a giant surfboard? What is happening, America? Or, just what is happening? You can't do that.
Yeah. Coach, what is happening?
Zootopia stand nice. I having been there very recently, I can tell you that the lack of education / lack of respect is at an all-time high. It is very interesting for me to see some of the stuff that's being allowed. Guy needs to get.
Why the binoculars?
Because he's cool, I guess. I don't know. I don't like to see what some people were doing. It's one thing. The biggest thing you used to have to worry about back in the day was having people cut in front of you while you're waiting for fireworks. Now it's it's insanity. People are just climbing on things and jump. One guy was at the front of where they're play the piano at the end of Main Street at Casey's Corner, and he was playing the piano, and that's all fenced off, and somebody came over and tried to join him, and a cast member had to walk over and be like, hey, yeah, you can't do that. You're not allowed to jump in and start. It was weird. The guy was trying to take a selfie and jump in and play, and clearly there was alcohol involved, but it was just one of those things where what? But I think those people need to be punished harshly, Rob. And when they're punished harshly, being banned, and it's it's kind of like the streakers on the field for sporting events. They don't promote it anymore, and then they arrest them, and that's cut way down on that. So I'm hoping that if it's going to be reported and promoted, right? It's going to be. But if it's reported and promoted that they were banned forever for history, maybe people will start thinking twice about things.
Is that why you stopped drinking? Because
among many reasons, Rob.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so Chris in chat said, how to get the board in, and it is right next to Ron John Surf Shop. So I assume there was some connection there between the two places. I don't
So
know
it's like a stunt?
I would assume maybe, but also at the same time, like, how else would you, because now that Disney Springs has full-time security, how else would you have done that? So, I don't know. That's,
So weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. But the kids who were standing up on the topiary, that's one of those things where I'm like, where is your parent? And then also,
No, but the parent was right there next to them, also taking a picture.
I don't know. Well, where is their parent? How about that? All right, let's move on to the People Mover. And when we talk about the People Mover, we're not talking about the People Mover out west. We're talking about the one on this coast, which was originally the Wedway People Mover. And Wedway, W-E-D, Walter Elias Disney, in case you were trying to figure out what does Wedway mean. So it used to be the Wedway People Mover, and then it became the Tomorrowland Transit Authority. And then it was like, okay, now there's just a big sign that just says People Mover, which is as it should be. And I assume, and Desi, I hope this is the case because, maybe this is a telling sign, is maybe they made two of these. One to go on this coast, and then after the expo, one to go on the other coast. You think that's why they changed it?
It's possible. I'm so sorry. I will be right back.
Yeah. Okay. I thought that was Coach. I thought that was Coach crying.
No, that's her children being upset that the People Mover has not officially been announced yet. That's all that
gotcha.
is.
Kamila, what were you gonna say?
Okay, I saw this last night, and I missed the story originally, I guess, when WWNT posted this, but someone that I follow was at Disney World, and they were posting it, and I like, immediately I was like, I'm sorry, what? So, I just, maybe I'm dumb, and I, don't understand what's happening, but am I seeing an Enterprise sponsorship, like Enterprise, the car company?
Yes.
No, that can't happen.
No, I think
Enterprise?
Yeah.
Wait,
are you
kidding?
You going? No, you know what? Oh, you're right. It was Alamo, wasn't it? It was Alamo.
No, stop. Hold on. I'm so confused. Was the Enterprise always there?
No, I think it was Alamo because as you were going down and leaving, you would see the sign in front of you. That's where the sign was. So their placement
was
was
different. Car company?
Yeah, it was Alamo, and you would go down the conveyor to the when you were leaving, and you would see the sign for Alamo. And so I think that maybe this could have something to do with a new sponsorship. Now that you mentioned that, so the Enterprise on the sign, is definitely there.
Well, doesn't Enterprise sponsor the dance party parade in Hollywood Studios? The Disney Junior Party. Oh, all right, sponsored by Enterprise because they run all the cars from Enterprise. So there might be that.
Very likely. Very likely. But tell me why you're so upset about that.
I hate the new sign. It's not, I'll get used to it, but when I first saw it, I don't know, I just had this reaction that surprised even me because I was just kind of like, no, what's happening? And honestly, I don't have I haven't had the best experiences with Enterprise, so maybe I just associated it with negative because of that also. But I don't know, I just was like, these little sponsorships, why? I know they have it with Autotopia and Disneyland. It's sponsored by Honda, and so I guess I'll just eventually probably I won't even notice it. But I just saw that and I was like, no, I don't like that.
You want me to blow your mind?
Oh my God. See, so that's true. So I guess I'll just, maybe they had to change it then because they switched sponsorships.
Well, but again, the look of the sign that's there that they just put in is the same as the original logo for the Disneyland People Mover. So it's very likely that it's somehow in conjunction with some coast to coast version of that. So I hope that it's very telling that it's coming. That should be pretty fun. So let's move on to the AP perks because you know what, we haven't felt very loved. We felt sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Not second-class citizen, but
unfavorable.
Oh yes, I've felt like an unfavorable attendee, not a guest.
The opposite of favorable.
Yes. So they announced this week that not only is the percentage of the discount going up, which I'm glad it's going up because it could have gone down. I feel like at one point it was 10%, and you mentioned surprise and delight earlier. Sometimes they will do a surprise and delight where they just increase the discount, and that's what this is for the fall. But I feel like they've picked a very precise window when I won't be there. Probably to help me out. But I think that's what they've done, and it's not for Disneyland. It's just for Disney World.
It's not for the unfavораbles.
Right. It's for the ones they don't mind so much, is what it is. So they've got 30% discount. To which Tom said, "See y'all. I'm going to go in the parks and buy everything." And then we've got the 25% off fall discounts for the hotels, and then you've got the magnet coming to your house. So here's the thing about the magnet. I have 4 annual passes in my house. They send us 2 magnets. But if we were to go to pick them,
0.
If we were to go pick them up, they would give us 4. What's your thing about 0, Desi?
I have never been sent a magnet ever. I wish that I could get a magnet sent to me. I saw that there was a magnet pickup today at Epcot. I think that's for the existing Mickey and Minnie one that I already have 2 of because I picked it up myself last year.
Yeah,
and they did not send it to me.
Yeah, I don't have that one, by the way. So if you want to give me that one, that would be great. I would love that. I did go get the Orange Bird one, and we talked about that when we did the live show in Orlando. Is that when we did the Orange Bird one, it was so complicated that you had to make a reservation for a chance to stand in line to then go get scanned to go to it was crazy, and it was at Disney Springs. So it's like,
But at least I got it.
Yeah, at least you did. So, so they've got the magnet and the 25% off, which the 25% off is great, but I feel like there's always a deal, whether you're a Disney Plus or an AP or something. So I think that was expected. But Kamila, the 30% off, does that kind of take you by surprise?
I just feel like this is so shady towards Disneylanders, which are like they just barely got their AP renewals announced at the last minute. And then, did like call them out specifically as being unfavorable. And then you turn around, the very next week and you have this great new offering for Disney World APers. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's a little shady.
You know what? You make a good point, though, is that this seems like it would be a great advertisement if they needed to get more pass holders in play. But you can't buy a pass right now. Even in Florida, you can't buy a pass.
Pixie.
Oh, you can?
You can buy a
Okay.
Pixie Pass.
Well, maybe that's what it's for. Hey, you can only come in twice this year, but we're going to give you a magnet and 30% off.
I did a lot of pre-shopping this weekend.
Did you? Yeah. Okay.
A lot of figuring out what I'm going to buy when I get my 30% off.
Gotcha. Well, we'll talk about that in a second because I've got a question pertaining to the topic after this one. But so the Park Pass system, they've made some changes to it. And I know anybody who's watched this show knows that I freaking hate the park reservation system. Everything about it. And more so for the people who, and Kamila, you can talk to this in a minute, more so for the people who aren't inside this Disney bubble that we're in, that don't know what you're doing. When you pull up to the toll booth and they either take your Magic Band or your money, and they say, do you have a reservation for today? I don't, if I didn't know any better, I would just think you mean ticket. And I would go, yeah, I've got that. And now I go in and I park and I paid my money and I go up to the front and then it's like, oh, no, you need a reservation. No, I have a ticket. No, a reservation. I mean, it's so confusing. But the one thing that's been frustrating about the Park Pass system for those of us who use it on a regular basis is if you're like, okay, I have one for Epcot for Monday, but Desi has one for Magic Kingdom. And so I'm going to have to drop my Epcot and then hope that in that time, after I drop it and the time I go to pick up the next one, that Magic Kingdom's still there. And then it's like, okay, it's not still there. Let me go back and get Epcot. Oh, that's gone too? Oh, well, there you go. I guess I'm spending the rest of my day at the Speedway. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to be doing if that's the case. So it's really nice that they've deemed it appropriate to give us this ability to be able to do that, but also now you can reserve for like up to 30, so that when Coach brings his kids, there's enough space for him to reserve one for each of them. So, Kamila, I mean, am I wrong? Do people outside the bubble not think that this is a crazy system?
I think people just get overwhelmed by all of it altogether, but I think you're exactly right in this really is a really good news update, because you would have where people would try to change their mind, oftentimes based on a hard to get reservation, right? Oh, we were able to get a space 220, but it's for this day and we have a reservation for Epcot on this other day. And as we all know, the closer you get to a given date, especially over the next few months, you could easily see that park be sold out. And so it was just extremely risky to, cancel a reservation and then try to rebook. And I have run into scenarios and situations where, they had to kind of keep refreshing to try to get that new park they were going for. So I do think this is a much better use of this, but overall, it just continues to be a really complicated system, and Disney World is already overwhelming.
Yeah, Coach, did you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, the ability to be able to actually not freak out that you're not going to be able to switch to the park you want to go to, I think is long overdue. It's a real issue. It's a real anxiety that exists for us trying to switch parks. The reality is the reservation system's here to stay, right? And they needed to make tweaks. This was one of the major tweaks they needed to make. Hopefully they don't go through in terms of park hopping where they end up getting severe restrictions on that. I think it's initially because of staffing and how they want to try to control crowds and all that and know where they have to put people, which there is value in, of course. But then again, it's like, okay, when we park hop at 2 o'clock, are we going to be now trying to track that and then shrink staff even more? And is that what Josh D'Amaro was referring to? I hope not. So, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things that Desi has said in chat instead of on show is that she doesn't really mind the park reservation system for times like Christmas. But I got to tell you, I've never really
We ran out of time.
I've never really. Well, we can go extra innings. We're fine. I when I look at the park reservation system, I don't know that I was ever turned away from a park. I know that they did it maybe on like New Year's Eve and maybe for like just maybe Christmas. I don't know, but I've never really run into that problem. So to me, again, this system is not created for us and our convenience. This is created for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The only time that I had an issue was pre-COVID. The only time I had an issue with trying to get into a park that I wanted was the last night of the Osborne lights. But I was able to, I guess, wait for people to leave and then I could get in. But it's not something that I think is necessary on a regular day.
Osborne Lights, what was that? I'm just kidding. No, but again, my thing is that it is not for their convenience, it's for mine. And if it's a special day like that you want, now I have a new mania of trying to get that pass, right? Because if it's a day that, like, if it's just Christmas or New Year's Eve, and it's like that's the day, now I'm going to have to get up at 6 a.m. 60 days out to try to get that. So, I mean, but you see some benefit in it for, like, holidays and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I don't see how you make it, you have to have it reserved on a holiday or a day that they know are going to be super crazy busy and they might need to turn people away. If you don't have it turned on regular days, how are people going to know on those holidays, oh, I need to make sure I get a reservation, and then they aren't turned away at the door because of that?
Were you paid to say all this, Desi?
No, I'm just thinking logically through it.
Yeah, again, there's not been any times even like at Universal who never put them up that I felt like I couldn't get into a park because of that. Now, the one time that it was a challenge was during New Year's Eve, and I knew it was and I knew it was going to be a problem. But they put up signs everywhere and on the app and everywhere else at that time that said Magic Kingdom is closed, folks. You can't go. It's booked. It's for your own protection. Go enjoy the fireworks somewhere else. And I knew that ahead of time because, you know, planning, but at the same time, it was nice that they were able to let us know that. But that's the one time I've ever had that problem. I don't know, Kamila, have you, how do you, like, just to recap on that one?
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like New Year's Eve in particular, even more so, much more so, I would say, than Christmas, is the one time that I see on both coasts the parks hit capacity, and fairly early it would happen. You know, but other than that, I agree. I think Disney has actually been fairly honest about this, that they've said it helps them with staffing. It helps them, you know, understand how many people are going to be in the parks. It helps them try to figure out flow and, you know, whether we're going to have 2 tracks running or one, you know, for different attractions. So, I feel like they've been honest about the fact that it's about them. It's about data. It's about staffing, you know.
No, they've been honest about it, and I've been honest about the fact that I hate it. So I think we're all being honest about it as much as we possibly can. So let's, for the sake of time, let's move on to the $600 years, which is why I wanted to come back to the idea of the 30% off. Do I get 30% off of my $600 years?
I bet it's an exception.
So Veer Wing made these.
They're not cute enough to be $600. I'm sorry.
I mean, there have been some hats and things like that that have been, you know, limited edition that I've looked at and went, oh, those are kind of cool, but they're few and far between. So, like, when I look at it and I go, $600 for that, here's the thing that I have a question about. And Coach, maybe you could field this one as a father. Do little girls know the difference between the $30 ones and the $600 ones when you tell them no? You know what I'm saying? Like, these are $600.
No,
ears.
they don't. I think this is. I don't know if that's really the target demographic, but no, it has no. There's no bearing on that. I mean, we had our on our trip, instead of going to Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, we had someone come to our room. My daughter had the full experience of getting her hair done and the whole flowers and the whole nine, and she got this giant crown and the whole nine, and she loved it, and it was significantly cheaper than doing it in the park, and she didn't care one way, that she thought it was the greatest thing ever. So I don't think this is a case where this is just somebody so they can post it and brag about it. But again, it's like having a really nice watch that you never wear.
Well,
like, I got this great watch. I'm never going to wear it.
About that. I have a pair of them right here. Hold on a second. No,
no.
No.
I was going to say, this is where, to me, the pass holders come in. Like, I feel like that's the demographic who would know about this, who would, you know, be interested, who would actually think about, ooh, you know, do I get it? Do I spring for the, you know, $600 ears? And so, you know, when they talk about, oh, we're not making enough money off the pass holders in the parks, I mean, I don't think the average guest is buying the $600 Vera Wang ears. I think it's pass holders and the loyal fans.
Yeah,
I did consider buying the $100 Coach shirt, but I'm waiting until the 30% off and hoping that it's included in the 30% off. If not, then I don't know. I don't know if I can justify spending $100 on a Mickey Mouse T-shirt.
Well, if you don't mind, speaking of Coach, the Coach Donald Duck,
Coach.
The Coach Donald Duck, our Coach is going to want that. So if you go ahead and get him one of those $600 Coach Donald Ducks for $180 off, I'm sure he would gladly Venmo you the rest of the money. I mean, sure. So
there's so much synergy going on there.
I mean, it's
across the activations.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So many coaches. You know what? There's a lot more to talk about. I'm going to skip down to a couple and talk about what I'm calling the Tusker Trough. Tusker House is one of my favorite character breakfasts, so I'm glad that the buffet has come back. But I want to ask you, and again, I'm going to go to Kamila on this one. Do you have, now that we've been through, again, I don't know if y'all had COVID. We had it here. Now that we've been through that, when it comes to buffet versus family style, has having to deal with family style changed your mind on how that works or no?
You know, I think Tusker House has remained incredibly popular regardless. And I think whether it's buffet, whether it's family style, I actually think most people who book it think it is a buffet. And my guess is to manage that, you know, compared to family style. So I think that's why Disney's hoping to pull back on this one. But this is a reservation that I feel like I hear about this more than I ever did, you know, pre-pandemic. And so, you know, I don't think people have reservations about the buffet. I really don't.
Well, I don't remember who it was. It might have been Patrick that was like, yeah, just bring the food to me so I don't have to get up and go get it.
I
you know?
love family style. Please.
Okay.
I'm
all
sad
right.
about buffets coming back. I'm sorry. I love family style. I feel like the food seemed like it was fresher because who knows how long it sits out when it's on the buffet. Please, all of the family style. I don't miss buffets. When Beer Garden was family style, it was so much better than it was as a buffet.
Yeah.
True story.
Family style is a lot of wasted food though. Like we did a couple of character breakfast Topolinos, which I highly recommend to everyone because it's I think one of the best meals on property. There's a lot of waste there, right? We say what you want to bring back. We'll bring you whatever you want, and I think it's less food when you've got a bunch of people that can just get up and go and get what they want. A lot of times, especially with some of the staffing issues, you're going to deal with a little bit less food and a little bit longer wait time. There were a couple different experiences that we went to pre and post COVID, from buffet to family style. We felt like it was a lesser customer service experience. And we're a group of 6, so we're getting that automatic 18% tax anyway on the tip. But it just isn't. To me, it wasn't as good an experience. It's definitely fresher food, but I feel like it's less and maybe not necessarily what you want, which in a group might not be what people are looking for.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like buffets because there's usually
It's
more.
not less. You can.
But there's usually
You
more
can ask them
choices
to
on a
bring you
buffet,
more.
though. There's usually more choices on a buffet too.
It's
And
just slower.
Yeah, well, and you can go up and get your own. But it's so funny to me because I thought
prefer quality over quantity.
I never had a quality problem with the Tusker House. I loved that. But it's so funny looking in the chat. Care Bear, buffets can be super gross. G Skywalker, Golden Corral vibes. I mean, you know, like I thought people would be like, yay, buffets are back. That's going to be awesome. But, you know, that's why I asked the question about, like, do you prefer family style? Like, at Liberty Tree,
Especially when I've got my kids.
But
No
with
way.
kids
No
especially, though.
way.
Okay, all right. So double-edged sword on the kid thing. One is that you've got more options for kids that are finicky, which mine were. And so there's many more options that are out there, and you go and you pick and you choose. But the other side of that is I've also been the one trying to take your kid to the buffet and hold your plate and their plates and all that kind of stuff. So I do get that can be a thing. And if it's character dining, we want to rush up, get the food, and rush back because we don't want to miss Mickey.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
If I don't have my husband with me on a trip and it's just me and the kids, there is no way I can take 2 toddlers to the buffet with me, and I'm certainly not leaving them at the table by themselves. Yesterday we went to Pecos Bills, and I tried to balance the tray on top of their stroller as I went to go find a table. Thank God some nice gentleman came over and helped me carry the tray over and find a table, because I was getting really nervous about that tray.
You're welcome. You looked like you were struggling. I just wanted to help.
That's a good Disney guest.
Thank you.
We like those Disney guests.
You know what
He was
though?
favorable.
But again, looking at the chat, like buffet for the W, like I mean, there are pros and cons I think to both of them. But with me, it depends on the restaurant and the food that we're doing. Like I love Liberty Tree, and I think family style is perfect there, and especially because I have
Ohana is like my favorite restaurant.
right.
Family style all the way.
So, but I've got a gluten-free and a vegan in my party when we travel, and so like, you know, it's like we all get our own plate at Liberty Tree basically because it's like, okay, that's the vegan one and that's the gluten-free one and this is the real one and that's for me.
The real one.
But the buffet at Tusker House, do not sleep on the buffet at Tusker House. They do the jungle juice or pog juice or whatever they call it while you're there. They do.
I had it family style and it was wonderful.
Okay, all right.
Rob, you can't talk about buffets without making the joke of I'll take some of the blue and you'll take some of the red. You know that movie reference? Anybody? Bueller? Okay, never mind. Just me. Make myself laugh. I'll take some of the red. You want some of the blue? It's my treat.
All right, I'm gonna jump around here
Nothing?
again because we're Coach, grown-ups talking. I'm gonna jump around here a little bit because H2O over. I love this title. Thank you. You're welcome. So the H2O plus products that were in the hotels, it's not that they're pulling them out of the hotels. They're just ending this line completely. And I think this was a brilliant marketing tool at the time because they not only got people addicted, they're like, oh, I love when I go to Disney and I can get those, those shampoo, conditioner, and body wash. And then they did the little bottles, and then they started doing the ones that are like, taped down into your shower so you could still get that. But because they did that, they would then sell them in the, in the lobby, and that was cool. And then you could buy them online. So, I mean, I think a lot of people are going to be sad to see this going because I think it's really was a top of the line, like nice little touch that Disney had going in this partnership. Again, Kamila, you probably have spent more time in the hotels than I'm guessing Desi has. So I'm going to go to you first on this one. We'll switch around.
It really does feel like an end of an era. I remember probably the first time that I ever really paid attention to the H2O line of products was I was at a stay at Coronado Springs, but I actually got upgraded to the presidential suite. And so it was like H2O products galore. And I remember because I took like everything back, and on my carry-on, the guy was like, you have too much. And so I actually had to throw some of it away. It's kind of interesting to me how these products really are like just so meaningful and nostalgic for a lot of Disney fans. And, to the fact that they were able to like sell them and, expand the product line. I remember they used to work with influencers to sell them. So it kind of makes you wonder what happened there and, why they're having to just end it all together. Maybe they're replacing it with something else. Maybe they've got something, new planned. That's kind of my hope, because it just seems odd otherwise.
This one doesn't look like a Disney choice, though. This looks like the company chose to just do away with this line and forever. Because now, when you go to their website, it says, hey, if you want some of this stuff, go to Amazon, because that's where we're dumping it all. So if you're a fan of that stuff and you like the way you smelled when you walked out of a shower in Disney World, you might want to go ahead and pick up some of this. Coach, you're laughing because it's true. Don't even lie.
Listen, my wife requested, we were at the Contemporary, and my friend Virginia, who I love very much, was working there. Shout out to Virginia, she's the best. She hooked us up with some extra H2O stuff as we were leaving. So, it really is like people are either indifferent or very sad about this. But from getting kind of deeper into the weeds a little bit, the company essentially said they weren't making enough of a profit off of that relationship. And so they would honor their contract, and then, in 23, whatever it was, they were going to stop providing. So if you like it, everybody, go to Amazon and get it supposedly severely discounted. I know on Shop Disney, they only had like the Star Cruiser stuff left over. They didn't have any of the generic stuff. So Amazon's the place to go if everybody's looking for it. So,
Desi, final thoughts on that one?
I did go to Amazon and I did consider buying some of these shampoos. Just right now, because I'm trying to save all of my money for that 30% off discount at the parks, I did not have the money to pay for it at the time. But it is in my, I'm thinking about it cart on Amazon right now.
Oh, you're one of those people that you're like, I'm not really sure about this. Let me do the grown-up thing and put it in the cart, and I'm going to step away, and then I'll come back to it later and go.
You can click the save for later button. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Rob, that's a good trick in general, though. Sometimes you leave stuff in a cart and you just don't look at it a day. They'll send you a free coupon code, so something to think about.
Okay. All right. Well,
they did not do that for me.
That could be post-show. So
not for Amazon, but other stuff.
Final topic of the night, folks, because, again, we went into extra innings here, but I really wanted to talk about that D23 Expo prediction. So thank you guys for being there with that one. But there was a broken pipe at everybody's favorite pavilion, the Imagination Pavilion. And I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, I can. I see the water shooting up.
Yeah, so there was a geyser coming through, and as a matter of fact, when we were putting this out for WDW News Today, they're like, I just did a picture of all the cast standing in front of it, and they were like, no, we need to see the geyser. I'm like, geyser? Because against the sky, it's really hard to kind of... Yeah, you can't quite make it out. But apparently a pipe burst, and instead of just flooding this way, it went all like Old Faithful up in the sky. I can't imagine what that looked like coming out of the top of Imagination. It was just like the Imagination was so mad for the attraction it is today, it just couldn't stand it anymore, and it just blew its top and just
It's probably
flooded.
because of Figment having his bathtub on the ceiling.
Oh my gosh, you were so right. That is absolutely what it is. No. Adventures with Alicia says water feature with Figment. Okay, yeah. That's good. That's solid. So, this could be an opportunity. You remember when the Tiki Room caught fire when it was under new management? And they went, oh, you know what? Let's shut it down and let's open it up again as something people will really like. And they did.
It's
and
a
so
Figment
maybe
3.0. See?
maybe Coach's dreams are coming true here. I don't know, but I mean,
Figment was kicking today. He was not gone.
No?
So I'm sorry to crush those dreams, but they can't blame it on the burst pipe that they have to shut this down.
can he blame it on
Hopefully
the rain?
they do anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, but still, I mean, here's the funny thing about this is that before I saw the geyser thing, here's what I thought was going to happen. I was at Disney when it was pouring down rain, and like a bad one, not like a Disney drizzle, but like a bad, like it hurts to go out in it kind of a rain, and it would not stop. And we were in the Imagination, and I was like, oh, let's just run over and we'll kill time in the film festival. So, we'll go in and sit there. They stopped the film festival because I think that because you would have to push the people out the exit, they didn't want to do that. So they just stopped it. And so we all kind of gathered in that area where Mickey was doing the meet and greet. And if you look up at the ceiling the next time you're in there, it's bad. Like there's the panels are like falling apart. It's dripping.
It's in decay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
no.
So I really thought that that's what was happening here until I saw like the geyser out of the roof. So, I don't know what the problem is here, and I'm not sure we'll ever learn what the actual problem is here. But I feel like it's time for them to do a complete overhaul on this building, because the last time they did on this building, all they did was they gutted the inside of the attraction and then like used half of it for the attraction and half of it for the image works downstairs. So. I don't know. It makes me sad when
No one ever uses that Image Works.
because it's all busted.
It was completely empty.
But
Yeah.
everything's busted, and they were slowly before COVID. Again, that we had it here. They started trying to make that area a character meet and greet, and they have two, right? They have like the Ralph and Vanellope, and they have like the
Right.
Sadness and Joy. But I think that they were going to spread that out and just make it sort of like that Interventions area was, and just make it like a whole meet and greet area. So. Anyway, I felt like we needed to talk about that with everything else we talked about. We missed a lot of other stuff here. So I do want to say, because we said we would talk about it, Halloween stuff. This week, Haunted Mansion Holiday opens up. Boy, that's my favorite. I love Haunted Mansion Holiday. But what I want to do is because we said we would talk about Halloween stuff, and you guys all had topics that we were going to talk about, I just want to wrap up tonight's show with giving you each a chance to kind of talk about the things either you've seen, Desi, because you've been in the parks, or the things you're looking forward to for Halloween. So I'll start with you.
Can I talk about 98 Degrees? No, because that's what I saw in the parks today, and it was a true highlight for me. But Halloween-wise, yeah, we saw the decorations up yesterday. My kids loved it. They loved seeing all the pumpkins and the scarecrows. So even though I'm not going to a party this year, it's still nice to see it and start to feel like, wow, the Halloween season is coming in 2 months. But it's here now in Disney World. And they even at Joffrey's have pumpkin lattes already. So let's go. Let's get this spooky season started.
I'm about to say that's all you need. If you check out our website, Sorry, I have to mute because of the echo thing. Sorry. So if you check out our website, we have a full guide to Mickey's Halloween, Not So Scary Halloween Party for 2022. So go check that out. If you're planning on going, go in prepared. Check out the guide. We kind of did all the legwork for you to tell you where the food is, what's good, what's not, where the merchandise is, where the character meet and greets are, all of that stuff. So all of that is on our website to go and review. They've started decorations in Disney California Adventure, and man, Halloween in Cars Land is one of my favorites, Kamila. I don't know if you have a favorite like in California.
It's so good. Like if you have never done it, go do Halloween at really just the Disneyland resort, right? Go to Disneyland, go to DCA. Even just the entrances at both parks are so stunning. They completely transform them. Cars Land becomes transformed. I'm interested and curious to see if we'll see anything special, even if it's just during the Halloween parties during an Avengers campus. But it really is stunning. It's so well done. It truly is unique. I highly recommend it. On my just kind of little roundup, because I did have just a couple of quick things, and I wrote it down just because my memory is like a goldfish and I won't remember. On the brawl, I just need to say, I did not realize that fight that broke out in Magic Kingdom happened in PhilharMagic, and I just need to, like, focus on that. Like, imagine being in PhilharMagic getting in a fight. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Getting in a fight because somebody's cutting you in line at
Right.
PhilharMagic.
At PhilharMagic, like you're
Ridiculous.
gonna get a spot, I promise. People need to chill. The second thing is on the Lightning Lane update. I actually think that's really significant. I was shocked when I was just at Disneyland a couple of weeks ago, and I was shocked. Almost every time I entered a Lightning Lane, there was a family in front of me scanning in, and they were too early, or they missed it entirely. Like, people are not understanding how this system works, and it's surprising to me because I understand it so well. Maybe because I was also so used to Max Pass, but people are not getting it. And so the fact that now there's going to be a banner that lets people know, what time to return, I think that's huge. Two more quick things. I think we do need a Rob reaction cam at D23. We need to make that happen. Everybody rally. Let's make that happen. And then the last thing I have, when I think about what I would like to see for Launch Bay, particularly in Disneyland, I would like to see, okay, and if you're an Imagineer, you can steal this. I don't need money. Just make it happen. Carousel of Space, okay? A dining experience, BB-8 hosts, okay? Let's have like a carousel of progress, but of space. And, even if you want, tell the Star Wars story. I don't even care. Just do something cool with that space that everyone can enjoy. Make it an attraction. We can eat things. That's totally fine. You can even still have dessert parties on the rooftop, but carousel of space, that's what I would like to see.
Did you ever hear the rumor that they were going to build a speeder bike attraction on Autopia's graves? Did you ever hear that rumor?
What?
Yeah, that was a rumor that I
No.
heard, that they were going to build a speeder bike attraction with all of that land that they've got, some kind of an e-ticket attraction. Now, it wouldn't make sense now because that was before we knew where Galaxy's Edge was going in California. But it wouldn't make sense now because I feel like more likely they're going to push out Star Wars and maybe put in, and Kamila, maybe your dreams come true and they do something like that, but they do it IP less and more Tomorrowland centric. That would be fantastic if they would.
I would love that more.
Yeah. All right, Coach, bring us home.
All right, so as being there very recently, we get to see all the Halloween decorations. I really enjoy the pumpkins above on Main Street and above a lot of the shops. They're super creative and really cool. It's kind of a hidden thing that I really enjoy. The Halloween stuff is fun. I mean, there's some actually really fun merch. Here is some Mickey neck lights that we purchased.
Did you get 30% off of that?
So I did not get 30% off because I was not there. I bought these previously, and I'm not Desi. But no, there's a lot of really neat things in terms of Halloween. When we were there, both of the Halloween nights, it violently and aggressively rained both nights. The first night that was there, it rained, and they actually gave people a refund because they were there for about 40 minutes before it rained so hard that basically nothing happened. And then it rained again. So I felt bad for those poor people that had actually probably been there for that week and had a chance to go again. Another friend of mine, actually, Melissa, who works at the front desk and is somebody who works in customer service, was working the event till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and had to deal with it. It's actually Virginia's daughter, who's awesome. But anyway, she was telling me how it was just crazy and people were just furious and mad. So I felt bad for that. But, people, other than that, people have said that it's been a lot of fun. The Headless Horseman riding through was something that was kind of unexpected but brought back that people really enjoyed. So there's a lot of good stuff. My suggestion is always forget the candy. You can get the candy anywhere. Just try to manage your time. Go to www.dwnt.com. Look at that full guide. It is very comprehensive to the point of what things cost and where to go. You can definitely manage your time a lot better if you do a little bit of research, which a lot of people don't do, and they waste time asking questions they already have answers to if they read our website. So that's what I got, Rob.
Well, again, there was a lot of content tonight. Thank you guys so much for being with us. We are going to be off the next 2 weeks. Next weekend is Labor Day weekend, so I assume everyone will be doing something else other than sitting by YouTube. So we're going to go ahead and take that off. The week after that, we're all going to be pins and needles waiting for the D23 announcements, so we won't be on them. But the week after that, we'll be back talking about every single solitary thing that we learn at D23 Expo. Reaction cam, I don't know. We'll figure that out.
Make it happen.
Yeah,
make it happen.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I do want to say a special shout out to our WIGS members. Thank you guys so much. We love you guys for being our WIGS members, and that's, if you're not familiar, which why wouldn't you be familiar? But it's our WDWNT Interglobe Society. If you want to learn more about it, you can check it out at patreon.com/WDWNT. They get some great perks, including tonight we're going to have a little post show where Desi's going to drop every 98 degrees reference she possibly can in a short amount of time. So be looking forward to that. That's going to be great. And then, again, join us.
They are the Sid Arthur to my Lola.
Look at you. Look at you bringing that up. That's fantastic. So last week we did a review on Deep in the Plus of it's if you don't know about Deep in the Plus, it's a show we do every Wednesday night live at 9 p.m. And this month, because it's August, is Lindsay Lohan Appreciation Month. And Coach was nice enough to join me for his favorite movie, Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. And so this coming up week, this week we're going to finish it out strong, and it's going to be a panel discussion with Coach and Desi and Patrick, who all did reviews of Lindsay movies, and we're going to be talking about The Parent Trap, which could be the most quintessential necessary Lindsay Disney movie ever made. So hopefully you'll join us for that. If not, if you're a WIGS member, we'll join you in the post show. Thank you guys on the panel so much for being here. Really appreciate you guys. And Kamila, thanks for bringing it tonight. that made it extra special. So thanks guys so much, and we will see you in 2 weeks. So not next Sunday night, but the next
Rob Reaction Cam.
Or we'll see you Wednesday night for Parent Trap. So have a good one.
We will see you Wednesday night for Parent Trap.
Yep.
Bye everyone.
Bye. Have a good one.
Bye everybody. Thank you.
Dun, 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 dun.